What gives me the right to come out and lecture you guys on how you should be betting on sports? What right do I have to tell you what's right and what's wrong? Do I get that right to tell you because I've won 7 years in a row very publicly, very transparently? No. I'll tell you why I think I've earned that right. My results speak for themselves, but that's not what gives me the right. What gives me the right to tell you guys how to bet on sports and how not to bet on sports is because I was probably one of the worst sports bettors on this entire planet. And I mean it, okay? Every single thing that you could do wrong in sports betting, I did it times 10. And I did it again and again and again. Talk about the definition of insanity, doing the same thing again and again. That was me. The average lifespan of my bankroll back then ranged anywhere from 1 day to a few months, but that was it. And it was always right back to zero, back to the same thing again, making a deposit, saying, oh, I'll never do that again, only to do it again and again and again. I chased my losses whenever I could. Whenever I had a losing day, I was right back there chasing my losses, cooking up ridiculous parlays, not practicing bankroll management. That all changed with one of the worst weekends of my entire life. I had managed to maintain an incredible run without blowing up my bankroll, doing things the right way for almost an entire football season. I grew a bankroll of around $500-$600 into just under $20,000. Think about that, okay? From a few $100s, $500-$600 into almost $20,000 in 2 days of football. College and NFL, it was zero, gone. Now, to give perspective on this, 18 years old, my car I was driving was $500. It had one windshield wiper, and I just lost almost $20,000. Felt like one of the worst things that had ever happened to me in my life at that point. It actually turned out to be the single greatest event of my professional life. Now, at the time, it certainly didn't feel like this was one of the greatest things that happened to me in my professional life. It just felt like desperation. Losing more money than I ever thought I would have in my name in 2 days of football. I made a conscious decision that I was pretty much done with sports betting. But the problem was that I love sports betting. It was my passion and I could win at it. I just sucked at everything else, okay? I had no control. I had no emotional intelligence. I was making every mistake you could possibly make and doing it again and again and again. So the major financial turning point in my life came when I had made a decision after a few months off from sports betting that I was gonna do this the right way or never again, okay? The decision was either I'm gonna practice perfect bankroll management, I'm gonna stop the ridiculous parlays that I knew were suckers bet, okay? And I'm gonna follow perfect bankroll management, and the first time I deviate at all in the slightest way, that I was done sports betting forever. I made that promise to myself and I knew I wasn't gonna break it. For the first few months, the temptation was there almost daily. Every time I had a bad couple days in the back of my mind, okay, you know what? Just slam 1,000 down, get it all back. And I didn't. And thank God I didn't. Because a few months after that, I came to the realization that I can do this and I'm never gonna deviate from bankroll management ever again. And every single time that thought would cross my mind, just for a second, I would think back to that horrible, horrible experience of losing all that money in 2 days and said, never again, never again. Coming up on almost 25 years, a quarter of a century, since I deviated from bankroll management, since I bet 8-9 team ridiculous parlays, since I chased my losses, not one single time in the last quarter century have I done that. The rewards for that didn't come overnight. I knew this was not going to be get rich quick. I knew this was not going to be something that I would just all of a sudden be buying supercars and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, this was not even a thought in my mind that it'd even be possible to do this. But the miracles, guys, of compound interest and discipline, that's the end line. That's where I finished, okay? So what right do I have to come and tell you how to bet on sports, guys? It isn't because I've won all 7 years of Masterclass, my track record. How I feel I have a right to tell you guys is because I come from a place of experience, okay? From the worst side of sports betting. So it is my hope that I can come here and tell you guys the reality, how to bet on sports and how to do things the right way, and save you from the same pain and the same heartache that I went through, and have you skip that step and just do things the right way. So at the end of the day, if you are still watching this video 6 minutes in, it tells me the following: you care about sports betting, you care about winning, and at the end of the day, what we could have between ourselves is a business relationship. Because I'll be straight up with you guys, I can find value, I can identify winners, I can coach you through the right way to do things, but what I cannot do is your end of the bargain. It doesn't matter if I've won every single year. A $100 bettor who started with me 7 years ago is betting $2,150 a game now, okay? But none of that matters if you won't treat it like a business. If you don't have the discipline to not chase your losses, to cut out those parlays, to stop with all the noise and all the nonsense and simply treat this like a business, focus on bankroll management, and let time and compound interest do its thing. If you are just here for a rush, if you are just here for something fun to pass the time, I'm not the guy for you. But if you seriously want to make money at sports betting, I can help you. I know this is not for everyone. I had this crazy idea when I started 7, 8, 9 years ago on social media that I could come out here, tell people the right way to bet on sports, and everyone would listen. I realize that's a fantasy. I don't know what the number is. 10%, 15%, maybe 20, although that might be generous. Maybe 20% of the people who join Masterclass, who follow my picks, who follow it all, are actually gonna have the discipline to do things the right way. The people who have been rewarded very, very handsomely. As I mentioned, $100 bettor, betting $100 a unit is betting over $2,000 a unit now. Think about that for a second in 7 years. Imagine where these people are gonna be 15 years from now. At the end of the day, the decision if you're going to win or going to lose will not fall onto my shoulders. It is ultimately up to you. It's up to you how you want to treat your sports betting. If you want to treat it as a hobby and a way to continue to lose money, then you can do that. I've been there. I can tell you that winning is a hell of a lot more fun. But that is a decision that you have to make and not one I can make for you. So I wish you guys the best of luck. I hope you choose the right path. We get one chance at life, and I'm telling you guys, as you can see, this can be life-changing. I wish you guys all the best, and we'll see you soon.